This is TV18 and you're watching CNBC TV18.
Since his debut in 2005 with Imtiaz Ali's Socha, actor Abhay Deol has set his own pace and his own terms for Bollywood stardom. Anurag Kashyap's Devdi in 2009 set him up as the poster boy of indie cinema, and it's a tag he wears well. This year, Abhay Deol is in the news for turning producer with his own banner, his role in upcoming film Raanjhanaa, and a brand new television show. On the A-list today, Abhay Deol tells us why he opted to be part of a launch vehicle for South Indian star Dhanush and the choices he makes that define him. Thanks so much for being on the A-list.
Oh, thank you for having me.
You know, we've caught you just before you're going to go in for some travel, and you're going to be doing something really interesting commemorating 100 years of
Bollywood.
Bollywood. Do you want to tell me something more about that?
Yeah, well, the BBC is doing this live film in Bradford.
Okay.
And so it's going to be huge. It's a live event on BBC Three. It's a 1-hour movie, and it's an adaptation of Carmen, the musical. So what they've done is they've taken Carmen and they've sort of adapted the characters to this new contemporary take on it. So it's essentially like a live stage act. It's lots of dance and singing.
Dance?
That's all it is. I'm dancing, can you believe it? I told the director, I was like, Indra Bose is the director, I was like, you obviously will have some real major dancers, you know, professionals.
Yeah.
I'll have you know, I mean, in my industry, I'm not known for dance. I mean, I've done it, but I don't enjoy it. He's like, it's okay, don't worry, we'll let you do the Bollywood thing. So I'm like, fine, that I can handle.
You're playing a Bollywood star, but what sort of a Bollywood star would you describe yourself as? Everyone gives you these labels, you know, unconventional, the poster boy of the indie film movement, a star, but a star on his own terms. If you had to sort of describe yourself, what would you...
What kind of a star? I don't know, I guess I don't know, like I get very bad when it comes to describing myself. I let other people describe me. I mean, how can you describe yourself?
Yeah.
Tell me how beautiful you are.
Okay.
Can you answer that? There you go.
Okay,
I have beautiful eyes, you know, my lips are full. What are you going to say?
Okay. But poster boy of independent cinema and all?
Yeah, I like that tag. It was nice because it kind of rung true. But independent cinema here isn't, I mean, a lot of it was studio backed. It's not independent in terms, classically all Bollywood was independent.
Yes, because you had the independent producer.
You had independent producers.
Yeah.
But it's independent in thought. And which is what I like about it, that we didn't conform, or most of my films I've worked with directors who didn't conform to the formula, and I didn't want to conform to formula. I wanted to make commercial entertainers without necessarily being relegated to formula, and that's what made it independent. And if they call me the poster boy of that, then that's such a huge compliment. I mean, I'd like that to become bigger now. I'd like more people in the industry to embrace that and help me take it even further, which is something that everybody has to do together, not
But
me
like
solo.
you said, here in India, if there is something called the indie film movement, it has to be supported by mainline studios.
It has anything here that has to go big needs support, because that's the way the system is. You know, so if you're an actress, the only way you can make it big is to conform working with the A-list actors. You won't even look at a script before you look at. You'll first ask who the actor is. You know, so in an environment like that, it doesn't breed creativity. You know, in an environment where the economy is opened up and money rules, I mean, which is fine, I mean, it's just all over the world, again, it'll put another cap to creativity. And people don't have the guts to sort of go all out because money is riding on them, their career is riding on them. So they'd rather piggyback on somebody else. In an environment like that, independent stuff, you need a group of people who get together, and we don't have that unity.
You know, when it comes to an Abhay Deol film, there's a certain responsibility that comes with it. No, honestly, there is this little label of, not little, big label of quality that comes with it. You know, like I remember when I saw I'll be honest, when I saw the trailers of Chakravyuh, I wasn't very sure whether I wanted to see it, for whatever reasons. But I had these friends who said,
Even I didn't want to see it after the trailers. Just kidding.
But I had these friends who said, oh no, but Abhay is in the film, so we need to go and see what he's done. So is that a responsibility on you?
You know, I'm glad you asked this. Yes. I can't now say, chal, yeah, let's just do this for the money, or let's just do this for association and the market, because like you said, okay, Abhay's in it. I've heard that so many times now that I'm like, I can't do that anymore. Like it has to be quality. Because if I now lose that, then I lose whatever I've got for myself. If people are expecting that, it's a great place to be. Now stoke it. You know, don't lose your vision. It's hard to do that because there's no support for quality really. But that's something that comes with responsibility. Yeah. Awards in our country are a sham. You know, I mean, it's all. I literally get called and say, "Sir, aa jaiye, aapko hum de denge award." I'm telling you, all of them. I mean, all of them.
When it comes to a film like Raanjhanaa, which looks like a launch vehicle for Dhanush,
Yeah,
okay,
pretty much.
And so what was the clincher? The role that you were doing was something that attracted you. I mean, without spoilers because the movie hasn't released. So
I met Anand and I really liked the story. Of course, I liked Anand.
okay.
And it's happened to me a couple of times before. So, you know, when I first met Dibakar, when I first met Imtiaz, you know, I mean, those are the times I got the same feeling that I got when I met Anand as well. Like, okay, here's somebody who's just so passionately driven that you tend to, at least I tend to give myself over fine. Because I look at it as an adventure. It being a special appearance in a launch pad for Dhanush didn't matter to me then because I had Anand behind it. So I'm not particularly looking for something offbeat. I'm not particularly looking to make a statement. I'm not. I'm only looking to make good films and work with people who have a vision and are passionate of their vision. So when I met Anand, I saw that, and that's why I did it.
A lot of actors now, be it among the newer actors, like a Ranveer will do Bombay Velvet with Anurag, Kashyap, or an Imran is doing Matru Ki Bichli. That's them moving out of their comfort zone. When you do a film like Raanjhanaa, is it you moving out of your comfort zone?
No, I don't think it's me. You think is it the opposite for me?
Yes.
Doing a big...
Yes. No, I mean
No.
in terms of the theme maybe, you know, or the sensibility.
No,
Would
but like
that
I
be
said, I
accurate?
mean, for me, Socha na tha, Devdi,
Were pretty
Zindagi
much,
na milegi
yeah.
dobara, Chakravyuh, we're all pretty much in a kamal. Like I said, maybe 70% of my career has been the non-mainstream. 30% has been, and that's what seems like I would. But I think that 30% is already there in the past, so I don't think it's moving out in any way. In fact, I started with a very commercial film.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? It's just that, okay, fine, after that things didn't go very well for me. I mean, it was more about Imtiaz and Aisha and blah, blah, blah. But, you know, so then I was glad that happened because I wasn't interested. That time I wasn't interested in this commercial space.
You are now?
Rather formula space,
Okay,
never commercial.
formula, yeah.
I'm still not interested in the formula space, no. But I've always been interested in the commercial space. And I've always had this fight. Ki don't say I'm a offbeat, non-commercial film mein karta hu. When you say non-commercial means they make no money.
Absolutely.
I'm
And that
saying
makes
that's
no
just
sense.
your bias.
Yeah.
It's like you can't imagine anything non-formula to be commercial. That's your bias. I want to make entertaining commercial films, but they're not formula films, and that is still stand true. Even the commercial films that you can call that I've done, if you want to call them that, are not necessarily formula. You know, maybe Chakravyuh is, but I don't think a Zindagi Na Milegi Dobara is necessarily formula.
No.
Neither is a Devdi, but they're commercial films. Socha na tha, same thing.
How do you sort of evaluate yourself or how do you evaluate your films? Is it in terms of critical acclaim? Is it in terms of commercial success? What is the benchmark really for?
My benchmark isn't dependent on anything outside of myself. It's for me, you know, to see. I try and make a better film, better than the one I made before. You know, the effort is to keep improving. I can have control over that as an actor. I don't necessarily have a control over that as an entire product. Is not in my hands. So you can only evaluate yourself and your performance and then look at it, okay, even if it may not turn out the way you imagine it would turn out, at least it should have a story that's not taking the audience for granted. You know, that's not treating the audience like they're dumb and they don't leave your brains behind at home. I love that when actors say, leave your brains behind and come and watch this movie. It's like, I would never say that. Okay, it's an entertainer. But the thing is, I never think that. I never think that. I think the audience always has a brain, and either they're using it to just switch off or they're using it to switch it on. And I don't mind catering to either scenario, you know, but they have to use their brains.
Come with me. And how much do reviews or awards matter?
Awards in our country are a sham, you know. I mean, it's all, I literally get called and say, sir, aa jaiye, aapko hum de denge award. I'm telling you, all of them. I mean, all of them. So I don't believe in them. But reviews, yeah, there are the few whom, I mean, everybody is a critic nowadays, you know.
That's true. With everyone on Twitter now, anyone can tweet and talk about a film. Anyone can blog.
Yeah,
so you
but
don't
you know,
really
like,
need to be.
I think it's not true that reviews don't matter. Like, there are people who you read and you have a same wavelength with, then you look forward to reading their reviews because they have the same wavelength as you. And you want to see if you hit the nail on the head as far as they're concerned. Audience reaction matters, you know, to me. For me, the main thing is when I make a movie, I love it when people say, oh, I don't make movies for myself, I make it for my audience. I'm like, no, I make it for myself because only then will I show it to an audience. Why would I not make it for myself? I would expect you to like something that I like, no?
Absolutely.
Not that I don't like it, but I expect you to. So that matters to me, that I have to like it and that the people watching it have to like it.
But also, I mean, as a mainstream audience, do you think we like complexity, or do we like to keep it simple? And I'm saying this because there's a construct of the 100 crore film and, you know, all of that, and we have larger than life heroes now coming back, South Indian film remakes coming back. What is your point of view on
that's not coming in, that's always been there.
Yeah.
So it's not a question of that being a trend. That's something that's been going on for decades. And I don't think something that's existed for decades will go out just like that. It'll always remain. To a certain point. The only thing you can have is, and I keep saying this, you know, you can't have a revolution to make change. You need to have an evolution to make change.
Okay.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So I think, but people almost always revolt first and then they evolve. So I think what's going to happen now is first a revolution started to happen, and that's happened a few times, you know. It happened pre-Sholay a little bit, then post-Sholay everything was like a remake of Sholay for the longest time. The small movement in the 80s. And then there's, I don't know if there was anything in the 90s that was alternative, but now again that has started. But this time it's not a revolution, it is an evolution where people have now gotten broader in their tastes, in their outlook towards life, and that's had an impact. I think the economy opened up, made people richer, the middle class bigger, people traveled more, television went 24 hours, they have more choice, they saw a lot more, they're exposed to a lot more, they're much smarter, Hollywood films come up. So, you know, in an environment like that, you have to evolve or you'd get left behind. I'm not one to prepare too much. If I over prepare, I start to, like, I'll forget my lines if I learn them too much.
Without any spoilers, I really need to know a little bit more about your role in Raanjhanaa.
Of course.
Because I've only seen the trailer, which was great fun, but as much as you can possibly tell me without...
No, my character is a JNU student. He's a leader and he's politically inclined. You know, he wins the elections. He's idealistic. You could say he's slightly left-wing, if not bent towards the left. And the story is, I mean, it's essentially starts off in Banaras and with Dhanush and Sonam, two people who grew up together. And our two characters are somewhat polar opposites in many ways, you know, where Dhanush is hopelessly in love. My character is someone that people hopelessly fall in love with. You know, it's the kind of archetype that he eventually sort of aspires to be. It's not a triangle.
It's not a triangle.
And Anand was clear enough to say that it's not a triangle. Which is why you see the poster with just the two of them, and there was that one ad with me separate, because it's not a triangle.
Okay, what sort of, I mean, if you had to describe your approach to acting, is there, what sort of, when you are playing this guy from, the left-wing guy from JNU, Banaras, what sort of homework goes into it? Are you spontaneous? Do you play it by ear? Do you let the director do the homework for you, or do you also go and...
Homework I only do when there needs to be like superficial elements to be worked upon. So for example, and Dibakar's done this to me both the times. In Oi Lucky it was a low middle class guy from Delhi, you know, so I had to get that slight lilt of the Delhi accent in my Hindi. And then even more so in Shanghai, where I play a South Indian.
Absolutely.
And then the
and
homework
an older
was,
guy also.
and much older. And so then the homework was, how do you make a Tamilian speak Hindi who has perhaps learned Hindi in Maharashtra if he's stationed there? Won't he sound Maharashtrian then? But then people won't believe, because that's what happens as an IAS officer. You'll pick up the accent in the place you're stationed. So the homework was about trying to give him that accent where you know he's South Indian, yet He's not typically South Indian
Yeah.
either, because we also stereotype our characters in our industry.
Absolutely.
That kind of homework. When it comes to films like a Raanjhanaa or a 1/2, which is my own production, the homework is different. Not that it's not there, it's there. Raanjhanaa, it was, as an actor, in any case, you have worked upon how to work your body and how to project your speech. And that is relevant to everything.
Yeah.
And so when you don't have to make superficial changes, it's slightly easier, because then you can just focus on just, making sure you're speaking right, your body language is correct, and you're giving the director what he wants. And I follow the director essentially. A lot of it is spontaneous. I'm not one to prepare too much. If I over prepare, I start to, I'll forget my lines if I learn them too much. You know what I mean? I'm one of those. It's very weird. But if I don't learn them and I block and I work it at that moment, the lines just fall into place.
Have you ever in a performance found yourself getting maybe like trapped in a few stock mannerisms? Or that could happen to an actor over a period of time. There's certain things which become part of who you are. So
when I shot, I'm so glad you asked this. When I shot, there's a time I was shooting 3 films back to back, and that's exactly the words I used. I'm like, I'm using stock emotions. Because you're just so tired and you're having no time to prep between films, and you're going from one to the next, the next. It's so easy to fall back on those, like we call them, stock emotions. That can happen. Yeah.
Okay, then what do you do then?
Then you stop. You don't work for a while. Let life happen. Grow up a little bit, and come back.
And you do that, no? You keep taking these little breaks from. I remember long back I had read, I don't know if that's true, that you went to New York to do bartending suddenly.
It wasn't bartending, but I was in New York. Yeah, for a year I was there doing nothing.
Nothing at all. What did you do?
Went out a lot, made friends,
Okay.
and tried to be healthy.
And that's important to give you another perspective on, because if you're just too much, and I feel if you're too much into the industry and you're only doing films, maybe it makes you a little insular and cut off.
You get numbed after a while, at least I do, staying in one place. You know what I mean? No, if I'm not exposed to newer thoughts, newer people, different perspectives, I start to lose interest, and I start to take it out on people around me. So particularly in our industry, which is, it's very narrow-minded, I'm sure it's in Hollywood as well. I can't speak for Hollywood, I'm not there, but in Bombay cinema at least, the vision is not very broad. So conversations also tend to be not very broad.
They tend to be very sort of incestuous almost.
Yeah,
I mean,
and the same topics, predominantly film. So it's nice to get out of there for a while. It's nice to meet people from different walks of life, have different things to talk about, have different experiences, and that then starts to add to your performance. So when you come back from that, those stock emotions we were talking about, they're gone. They're really gone.
Okay, last few questions, and this I'm sure everybody's going to ask you this, and I have to also. The last time you did a film with Sonam and you articulated your views on the film, it did create a lot of sensation, because you're like, okay, you weren't really too happy with the film. So is it difficult being honest in the industry? Because I think you were being honest at that point.
Yeah, it is difficult being honest, because it's not worth it. What's happened is, with the explosion in media and channels and papers, the same thing is, something might happen at some point and you express your thing about it, and then you move on, but somehow media doesn't move on. So like now, even though it's been 3 years at least, you still have to ask the question.
Yeah, you're going to be asked. I'm
because
preparing
you're
you
working.
for it.
Yeah, no, it's fine. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm now like, I don't get upset. Nothing affects me anymore. I don't get upset anymore. I say what I feel. I mean, even if it's not the right thing, but I'm at least being honest. I think that's the most important thing, and I want people to recognize that. So when it comes to this, it's not worth it sometimes, because there's no need to carry it on. Like, okay, that happened. Bygones are bygones. I don't hold grudges. She doesn't hold grudges, and we moved on. But yes, so like on YouTube, I was seeing one of the channels has actually edited that Zee TV show I was promoting, and there's a question on Sonam, and they've edited to make it look like I had to think really hard before answering, which is entirely untrue. I know they've taken bits from here and there and put it together. And so then why be honest when the media and certain parts of media are manipulated? They're not selling facts, they're selling stories. And then you become the sort of pawn in that game, just because you're being honest. So it's a very murky world we live in, Kali Yuga, we can call it.
So what do? You just become immune to it? Move on? You can't really help it.
I think selective honesty. So I'm on your channel, which I think has a lot of credibility. So, and on camera, it's better. So don't be honest when you're being written. I don't get that when journalists write and you say, oh, you don't have a recorder. No, they do this. And then you're like, right. So your interpretation of what I'm saying is going to come out. Then 99.9% that's exactly what happens. Even though they say, I'm smart, I know what I'm doing. It's always an interpretation of what you've said. So the thing to be is when you're on a channel and you're in front of the cameras, you can be honest then. If you're on the phone, someone's writing, just be as diplomatic
So
as you
just
can
do
be.
TV interviews and just do them with us.
No, you can't not.
No,
but,
I'm just teasing.
But you have to, you can throw in diplomacy
Yeah.
when required and throw it out the door when not required.
Okay.
And that's the only way to handle it.
Okay, so before we go, we have Raanjhanaa, of course, coming up, and there's also the television show which is coming up.
Yeah.
So excited about that? That's a new medium altogether.
Yeah, a new medium altogether, ZTV. The show's called Connected Hum Tum. And I'm really excited about it. I think there's a lot of substance, a lot of integrity to the show. It's 6 women with a camera each recording their life over 6 months. So it's giving women a platform, giving them a voice. It shows our country through their point of view, family life, relationships, marriage. And I think in today's environment where, we're becoming like the rape capital of the world as a country, it's important to give women a voice. Just maybe, even if it's not a hit, but even if 5 people are sensitized to the issue who weren't before and are later, it's a step in the right direction. They put me in there for the entertaining factor, of course.
To bring in the eyeballs and to bring in the female viewership also. You're a big hit now, you know that with the ladies. When I was coming for this interview, I had at least 3 reporters across me and say, Abhay, ooh.
You should have brought them along.
They have to work, somebody has to file stories also.
Day off, come on, don't be mean.
Okay. So all the best for that, all the best
Thank
for
you.
Raanjhanaa, and all the best with everything
Thank you
that
so
you
much.
choose to do. Thank you.
Thanks.